Welcome to the SFSP Monitoring Requirements Training for new sponsors. During this recording, you will hear about the general overview of monitoring within the SFSP, such as the role of a monitor, the objective of monitoring, the different monitoring site visits and reviews, and key points of how to conduct a monitoring visit or review. The sponsor is financially and administratively responsible for any meals served incorrectly or served to ineligible people. This could mean a substantial loss of money to the sponsor if problems at the sites are not corrected. Your responsibilities as a monitor will differ depending on whether meals are prepared on-site or delivered to the sites by the sponsor or a food service management company or vendor. This guidance covers monitoring of both types of operations, where the vendor delivers meals to the sponsor sites and where sponsors prepare their own meals. Effective monitoring is necessary for many reasons. Monitoring ensures that sites operate according to program rules and that accurate site records are available to justify payment to the sponsor. Most importantly, monitoring ensures that eligible children in the community are getting nutritious meals. To be an effective monitor, you will be required to spend enough time at each assigned site to observe the meal service operation. Therefore, you must know the program requirements so you can identify problems at the sites quickly and recommend solutions. Additionally, the monitor must understand what validation activities are required for each question on the monitoring form. For example, if a question on the form asks if staff have received training, the monitor must know how to validate that. In this instance, the monitor should check the documented training that is maintained by the sponsor to verify this. The monitor should not ask staff if they've received training and take their word for it. If the monitor found that staff did not have documented training, the monitor should note this on the form, inform the sponsor, and follow up in an appropriate amount of time to ensure the training and respective documentation took place. If the monitor does not understand a question or is unsure of what the correct validation activity is for a question, they should reach out to a member of the RIDE SFSP team for clarification. Note that there are two types of monitoring that occur: site visits and site reviews. A site visit indicates that the monitor must conduct the visit to ensure the site is meeting program regulations during a meal service. However, the monitor is not required to observe the meal service in its entirety during a site visit. During a site review, a monitor must determine if the site is meeting all various program requirements. To accomplish this, a monitor will have to observe a complete meal service from beginning to end. All visits and/or reviews must be conducted as required and documented. Pre-operational visits are needed for certain site types in order to determine if the site has adequate space and facilities to serve meals to the anticipated number of participants during meal service. These visits are to be conducted by the sponsor prior to SFSP operations beginning. The following types of sites are required to complete a pre-operational visit: new non-school sites, existing sites that are operating a non-congregate meal service for the first time, and any sites with operational problems. For more information on RIDE's policy regarding operational problems, sponsors can see the Download Form section of CNP Connect. Note that any sites that are required to have a pre-operational visit and do not upload a completed pre-operational form to CNP Connect will not be approved for participation. Sponsors can see the Download Form section in the CNP Connect system to access the form. Any first 2 weeks site visits must be conducted within the first 2 weeks of operation and are required for sites that meet any of these criteria: new non-school sites, existing sites that are participating in non-congregate meal service for the first time, and any site that was determined to have operational problems in the previous summer season. During this visit, the monitor must review site operations and promptly correct any issues that are identified. A monitor must conduct a site review at least once within the first 4 weeks of operation. For any sites that operate for less than 4 weeks, the site review must be conducted before operations end. The site review is similar to a site visit. However, in addition to ensuring program regulations are met, the site review must include an observation of the meal service in its entirety. If a sponsor is required to conduct a 2-week site visit, they can elect to do the full site review within the first 2 weeks to satisfy the requirement of the site visit and the site review. Both monitoring forms must be completed in full if utilizing this option. The monitor is required to watch a full meal service during a site review. This includes observing the delivery or preparation of the foods prior to meal service through to the cleanup of meal service. The monitor should communicate any issues, technical assistance, or training with the site supervisor. Make sure any communication you have is documented on the monitor's review form. The monitor should then ensure that issues are communicated with the sponsor and that the appropriate follow-up is conducted and documented. On the day that the monitor plans to conduct the site review and observe a meal service in its entirety, it is critical that the monitor prepare and plan accordingly in order to verify all aspects of meal service. A monitor site review should begin before meal service starts, and therefore, the monitor should arrive at the site prior to meals being delivered or prepared. If the monitor is reviewing an open site, they should assess right away if there are any barriers preventing participants from receiving meals. The monitor should observe the meals being delivered or prepared to make sure all food safety and sanitation protocols are being followed accordingly, and should also check that the site supervisor is counting and checking all meals prior to service to ensure meals are safe, complete, and that the number delivered or prepared matches the delivery slip or production sheet. The monitor should also do their own count of the number of meals available and compare their number to the site's. During the site review, the monitor must observe the entire meal service, from delivery or preparation to the cleanup of service. While the monitor will need to answer all questions on the monitor form, some key items the monitor should note are meal service times, meal pattern compliance of served meals, point of service meal counts, and leftover meals and/or components if applicable. A best practice recommended by RIDE is that the monitor should check to see if any previous or future days of meal count forms are filled out. This is an additional edit check the monitor can conduct to ensure that point-of-service meal counts are being reported on a daily basis. If a monitor were to note that the previous day's form are incomplete or future days' forms are pre-filled, this would indicate to the sponsor that point-of-service meal counts are not occurring on a routine basis and retraining should occur as soon as possible. One of the most important areas that monitors are responsible for reviewing is civil rights. Any violations identified regarding civil rights should be immediately addressed and documented. The monitor should ensure that the program and its benefits are equally accessible to all participants, regardless of race, color, national origin, sex, age, or disability. It is best practice that the monitor complete the annual beneficiary data form for each site on the day they conduct the respective site review. Remember that visual identification is not allowable. Some examples of what the monitor should keep an eye out for may include seating all the boys or all the girls at separate tables, offering second meals to an older group of children first, or that children with disabilities, food allergies in particular, are required to sit at a separate table, unless instructed by the participant's family and/or physician. The key activity that the monitor will need to complete during a site review is meal counts. During meal service, the monitor should count the number of complete, reimbursable first meals served to participants. The monitor should also count second meals if applicable. Remember that all second meals need to contain all the required components in order to be eligible for reimbursement. After all meals are distributed, the monitor should compare their meal count totals to the number of meal counts the site has recorded. If the monitor identifies any ineligible meals that have been included on the site's meal count form, The monitor should notify the site supervisor, have them adjust the meal counts, note this accordingly on the monitor form, and conduct the necessary training and/or follow-up. If the site is reusing any meals or components for future service, the monitor should ensure that the site is accurately documenting what items are being saved and how many, how much. If there is no documentation of leftover meals or components and RIDE conducts a program review, we will review meal counts under the assumption that nothing was saved for use in a future service. If you have any questions regarding monitoring within the Summer Food Service Program, please reach out to any of the following contacts listed on the slide.